This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jambo, jambo. Welcome in the Masai Mara of Kenya. This morning we have a beautiful sunrise. Welcome aboard to your very own safari, live from the African wilderness. Jambo, jambo everyone. Warm welcome to you here in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have a nice, beautiful sunrise today. It's been raining all night. My name is Tim and behind camera is Big James. We had big rain last night and it's nice weather waking up into a beautiful sunrise. 16 degrees Celsius, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. We are so happy to wake up into this. So I'm here where I last saw the River Pride lionesses. Please send us your questions and comments at #WildEarth for the YouTube comment section at AFC. For our young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv. And then also visit our page on wildearth.tv/explorers to see the exciting news that we have in there. All indeed, the golden sunlight is priceless. Every morning we find it different, waking up into different settings of the sunrise. This is an amazing morning today. We hope to see some of the creatures that were wandering out last night. So I'm going to take you over to Lauren for a silent, beautiful session as you carry on watching this beautiful sunrise.
Jumbo everyone, another wonderful morning, and look what we have here. The Olololo Pride, and it's all of them. 5 lionesses and Kijana and Olalashe. They are so full. I don't know what they've eaten, but we'll find out. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungay. This morning my mission was to find lions because I was feeling lion deprived, but I'm so lucky we've already found them, and it's a nice start of day for me. It is just that wonderful morning. You just want to be out and try and find something. There is one lioness that is still eating. We haven't picked up exactly what they've eaten, but looks like it's something quite big because they're all very, very well fed. They've eaten enough. Everybody looks very, very content, and that female is still feeding quite vigorously on whatever is left. Maybe it's part of an animal that she hasn't eaten for quite a while, and so she's trying to UK. Well, I'll give you an example of, maybe how you do your own things. You know where you get the best vegetables. You know where you go for the best curry. For me, I know this lion's territory quite well, and from the last time they were seen, I start looking there and I trace them backwards, but I know their favorite spot depending on which time of the year it is. Over here there's quite plenty of game this time of the year, so it's a nice place to find them. So you look for all the areas they like, and if you're lucky you will find them. It's not always the case, but if you know the area, sometimes you get lucky. They have a huge territory, and depending on what time of the year it is, they'll move to certain areas. Right now the grass is very high, but around here the grass is not as high. So there is plenty of game, and for them, this time of the year, they utilize this corner. Then when they deplete everything here, they will go to a different area where there is a water source, and then after that, they move around. They move around quite a bit, so we move according to experience, according to where we've seen them. Looks like that lioness is very dominant over whatever she's eating, but you can tell how full they are. Okay, we'll take you to another live location. I'll stay here.
Well, these spotted hyenas are not eating something right now, but judging by the completely rounded balloon belly of that youngster, I suspect they might have eaten something last night. And now they're sleeping off on a bit of a food coma. It's a cool morning, absolutely no reason for them to be up and about, especially if they've got a full belly, sitting in the nice open road, looking up and down, able to see the view and enjoy it, and who knows what else might turn up. Hi everyone, I'm Mike, behind the camera is BK, and you're joining us at Eco Training's Pride Lands Conservancy, where it is a very chilly morning with lots of cloud cover, and very active night. There was a lot of sounds, animals being chased all about this area, a leopard at the waterhole, and all sorts of other things. And the fact that these hyenas are sitting right here next to us is a good sign that there might be other predators in the area. In fact, here on Pride Lands, every time we've seen hyenas out in the open like this, it has been because they have found another predator or a carcass. But we haven't found anything else yet. But because there was a waterhole, we are literally from here 300 meters from Ndlovu Dam, and there was a leopard spotted there last night. And so these hyenas might have followed this leopard into this area somewhere and potentially stolen its kill, because as you see, they're all very full. So who knows what's going on. This is a young hyena over here, and the one we were just focusing on now is a slightly older female, or a very old female with a milky eye. She's blind in one eye. That's very interesting. And this is her youngster, one of the floofs that often terrorizes us in the camp. I say terrorized, very cute terrorizing, but maybe only cute now when it's small. Once it gets much older, if it continues to chew on absolutely everything that it can find, it might not be so cute anymore. They are relaxing, and being the second most powerful predator, they will probably continue to do so for quite a while.
Oh, well, my hyenas are relaxing too. It's a very, very peaceful scene at the den, the Djuma clan den here. So glad to see them. We've got Heart with her too. And here's Corky's little one. Popped out to investigate what's going on too. Love when that happens. Hi everyone, good morning. It's me, TRISHALA, and I've got Theo on camera with me this gloomy morning in Djuma Game Reserve. It's 22 degrees Celsius, 71 degrees Fahrenheit, and there is the threat of rain, but we've got our wonderful rain roof, so do mind the pole if you see it in shot. Look at that. Just a little bit wet. There's a couple reasons I love to start off the morning at the hyena den. One is, obviously, the hyenas might be out, and we can't help it but feel that they're really, really, really cute and go, oh, and that they have amazingly interesting interactions like that one with Hearts 2 and Corky. I watched that. I thought that was really, really interesting. Those interesting interactions. What a pose. But apart from that, and I've said this to you before, the den has a really good position, and it's a bit high up on a crest. So it means that we get really good audio, kind of 2 kilometers radius, which is really nice. You can hear leopards sawing, lions roaring, things like that. So it's a good place to start off the morning if you don't have clues anywhere else. And apart from that, we can also a very, very nice. Well, we'll chat about that in a moment, but I am going to send you over to Lauren. You know, she's doing the wonderful silent segments, but she's got something pretty exciting going on also with a hyena. So let's go over and have a look.
Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve with this female cheetah and her 2 cubs. My name is JARRYD, And we've got master spotter behind the camera today, Craig, who, if it wasn't for him, we would most certainly not have been able to see these cheetah. So well done there, Craig. But yeah, like I said, we've got the female and her 2 cubs in a very similar area where we've been seeing her for probably the last 2 months or so. She has completely decided to make this floodplain area within Phinda her own. Although right now she's not in the floodplain area, but I'm parked on it. And then behind me is the open areas, which is littered at the moment with zebra and wildebeest. But unfortunately for her, I don't see anything that is within the size range that she would be looking to hunt. So yes, they will hunt zebra foals and the occasional wildebeest foal, or wildebeest calf rather. But none of these zebra or wildebeest seem to have any youngsters here. So it's all adults. And no impala, no steenbok or grey duiker in this area. So she's going to most likely sit at the top of this hill where she is now, just to scan the area and wait patiently for something to come. And she's positioned herself beautifully, being up, raised high. That sort of cheetah pose that you normally expect to see on top of a termite mound. Very similar reason why she's on top of this hill to why she would be on top of a termite mound, to get the best view of the surrounding area possible. But in this floodplain where we are, there aren't any termite mounds, so this hill for now is going to have to do. And you'll see that both her and her 2 cubs, one male and one female, have their heads up, all looking around. Now I've had a closer look at her belly. It doesn't look like she has fed in the last couple of days. Kylie, I couldn't agree with you more. Cheetahs, and particularly cheetahs' families, are incredible and lots of fun to be with. I also love spending time with them. And particularly when the cubs are this age, about a year or so, they're learning to hunt. In the last couple of weeks, there's a group of jackal that live in this floodplain, and these 2 cubs have been terrorizing them, chasing them around. At this age as well, they'll be in some ways joining the mother on the hunt, keeping a distance for most parts, but sometimes will come in and help. When I say help, probably be more of a distraction than anything. And if she's able to catch something small like a baby impala or even a hare, she might just wound them and let the cubs play and practice hunting on that. And she's actually very fortunate at the moment with the direction that she's busy looking. So she's got the nice open area in front of her, and you can see a nice steady wind blowing, and that's blowing from behind her. So today in this position, she's got the perfect vantage point, can smell anything that's behind her, and that's probably where danger may come from, and she's able to look up ahead for anything that she is potentially able to hunt.
Well, looks like Olalashe has taken over, and looks like they're eating a warthog. And if I take a closer look, that is the leg that he's working on right now. Well, I don't know how many warthogs they've eaten, because definitely it is not one. This could be a family of warthogs that they have removed from the wild. This plant, this pride right now. I know a fully grown warthog would weigh about 80 kilos, and that's enough only for 2 lions. Looks, many of them have had a nibble on something, so definitely it is more than one warthog. I would estimate maybe 3. And here, Olalashe is working on the legs. Warthog is one of those animals lions love to eat. You should just see them, how they eat it. The first time they kill it, it's like, a young kid first time eating ice cream. They lick it and lick it and lick it and bite and lick and bite and lick and lick and lick and bite. And it just looks so delicious. So it's one of those animals, I think it tastes different and even maybe, sweet for them. So they love warthogs. It's only that they cannot go for them every day because warthogs are very fast and also they put up fights. And so they can't get them every day. See the females hanging around? The two very close to Olalashe. The one to the right is the collared female. And then the one to the left is one of our daughters. Jean, yes, yeah, you say that he looks like he's going to explode. Thank you for your comment. Yes, he does look so. He's eaten so much. Looks a little bit uncomfortable. Mind you, their stomachs do stretch and actually they increase the space to fill up. And so they can eat a lot. That is Kijana. Look at how he looks. Looks like actually he was the first one to eat it. He could have killed it or maybe he could have taken it from one of the females. He's full of blood. Yeah, if you look at his chin, his front legs, they're just full of blood. Look at that. Yeah, it's nice to see them slightly different. They've eaten well, the two males. There's a time about 2 weeks ago, they were so desperate, they were looking for these girls to try and make a kill for them. So it's nice to have them relaxed with all their girls around. That is how you rest after a good meal, and you know that all the meals are well fed. It's time for a good rest. Well, I'm staying here. This looks like lots of fun. Let's take you to another live location.
Look at this hyena, how thick and strong its neck is. This is that milky-eyed female, and she's very, very strong and big. And you can see even now when she turns her head under, just how strong that neck is. I mean, it's thicker than the head even. And that just goes to show where the power of a hyena lies. It's in the jaws and neck and shoulder muscles. And you can see it's sleeping now. It's maybe had quite a busy night. It is very round, but it has been so for a while. I suspect that this hyena might be pregnant. But if there was activity last night, which I didn't hear, I was sound asleep, but BK says there was a lot of noise around here. It might be that this hyena was fighting with another predator or other hyenas, trying to steal food, or even a territorial dispute. But with those powerful neck, shoulder, and jaw muscles, it's a very formidable animal. Even a big, strong, powerful leopard or a single lioness would really avoid a conflict with these animals, because look at that. If it manages to grab... In fact, I've seen a video, an amazing video of a hyena, I think it was at Djuma actually, where a male lion attacked a hyena at a den, and it actually grabbed the hyena, and the hyena managed to turn around and bite the lion on the foot and then on the lip. And that lion let go and said, you know what, I'm not interested at all. And the hyena managed to escape. So even though the hyena is less than half, about a quarter of the weight or a third of the weight of the male lion, the lion let go eventually. Wasn't interested in the pain. It's one of the strongest jaws of any animal, any mammal specifically, in the whole of Africa. So a very formidable hunter.
Well, it looks like they have decided to take over from the main male, Olalashe. One piece has gone with one of the females to the right, and it's definitely a warthog. I saw the tusks, and now she's enjoying the last bit. There wasn't that much, but yeah, she's slowly feeding on whatever is left. Yeah, it looks like not all the females really ate well, and so for them, you know, later on they will go for a meal. We have a jackal who has come to try and, you know, try his luck to find some scraps. He risks a lot, but very smart. He comes quite close and then investigates, make sure that he has located all the cuts before moving in slowly, and he hopes that the lion will leave so he can have the scraps. Sometimes it's a death wish because females do chase them and sometimes kill them, but they are super fast and they can turn also quite quickly. And that is the silver-backed or the black-backed jackal. A long ways away we have a hyena. I don't know if you see it, Bungi. Yes, there he is. Sorry. There he is. I think, yeah, it looks like there are two actually. There is one on the other side, there are two. So these could be the Olololo clan, and also maybe they're coming to investigate if it's something big enough worth trying to steal from the lions, but very risky with the males. Hyenas are very intimidating to lions, and especially lionesses. If it's only 2 lionesses and there are more than 10 hyenas, it's quite easy for them to take a kill. These are spotted hyenas, one of the most successful carnivore in these Mara Plains. It's just a beautiful setting I have here. I don't have to drive very far. Everything's coming to me. Yeah, lions, you know, they live for up to 15 years in the wild, up to 20 in captivity. Dasi Ijambo, when lions take over pride, do they kill female cubs too? Well, it doesn't really matter their gender. Cubs are cubs. The issue comes in if they are still, drinking, because if they're drinking, it stops the males from mating with the female, and also the females not coming into season. So they're all killed, no matter what they are, so that the female can come back into season, and so the new male can sire his own, offsprings. That is what happens. So it doesn't really, matter what gender, they will all be killed. Mind you, they have to be less than 6 months or 7 months, because they will still be drinking. Hence, the mother will want to give them attention, and the male wants all the attention, so he will kill the cubs. But if they are more than about 7 up to 1 year, then they will be taken and adopted as the new male's, offsprings. Yeah, looks like the hyenas want to come and investigate more. Not a very wise idea with some hungry lionesses that haven't gotten any share. It's quite risky. Many of them are resting, waiting if they're going to get the last bits of scraps. Yeah, you can tell that female that's standing, definitely she didn't have enough. She would like to have something. Okay, I'm gonna stay here for a little bit longer. Let's take you to another live location.
Lions will kill both the male and female cubs. I'm actually at the moment sitting with 2 different species of animals who would infanticide. Cheetah, although this female cheetah wouldn't necessarily infanticide. And then behind us, I'm just going to pan around to the left here. we have zebra. Now, believe it or not, zebra are also known to infanticide. So on the far left of this group, there's a larger male, an older male, a bit of a stallion who's missing his tail, probably from a fight. And if this male was to try and take over a group of females, and there are some youngsters in that herd, he may try and kill those youngsters off. I have seen it myself, and a little bit like lions, it's probably more brutal, where a lion is able to kill a cub quite quickly. But unfortunately, a zebra foal, it takes quite a lot of biting and kicking to wound it to the point that it's fatal. But this male on the left, I suspect, just judging by his size and the battle scars that he has, is that he's already had his time with a harem, with a group of females. And now it's just him and a couple of younger males. And Greg was just telling me a little bit earlier that in the last couple of weeks that he's been in this open floodplain area with this female cheetah and her two youngsters. This particular male is quite aggressive, and he's been chasing this female around. And she'd probably recognize him. He's quite an easy male to recognize by that tail and his size, and it should probably do best to try avoid him as much as possible. Now, she's actually positioned herself in a really good spot. Go ahead. Peter, no, cheetah don't live in trees. Those are leopards. So leopards are perfectly designed for climbing into trees. They've got the body structure and the claw structure to allow them to climb up trees. Cheetah, they can climb trees to an extent, but they tend to spend 99.5% of their time on the ground to use to what they have of their advantage, speed. So leopards are nice and strong, which allows them to climb up into trees. Oh, something's just caught her attention. Devil, both you and Grant can make your way. I'll move out when you get here. Now, I'm not too sure what keeps catching her attention. She keeps looking in the direction of the zebra and wildebeest behind us, but there's nothing that's small enough for her to try and catch. Now, their eyesight is incredible. So when she's focusing like that, she might be looking long past the zebra. They've got binocular-like vision. And she would be able to maybe see something beyond this open area. We've got one of the younger stallions walking our direction, which has just caught her attention. So, Brian, you're looking at anything between 18 months to about 22 months. It does depend from female to female. And what you'll also find is that when they have male cubs, they tend to keep the male cubs slightly longer than when they've got female cubs. And most likely one of the reasons for that, and it's actually very similar with leopards, is that the female recognizes the dangers that the male will have. So a young female being kicked out, he or she doesn't really have to worry about the dominant male or new dominant male cheetah in the area. But a young male who gets kicked out will have to avoid his father and avoid any other males that are in the area. So she kind of holds on to him a little bit longer, just to make sure that he's ready. Now, in this case, where we've got a male and a female, she'll kick both of them out at the same time, and they won't necessarily become independent from each other straight away. Most likely, these two will stick together for maybe a couple of weeks, even a couple of months, until they feel confident enough to continue on by themselves. Generally, what would also happen is that when two youngsters like this get kicked out, they tend to walk around and cover quite a lot of area. And while doing that, they're bound to come across some dominant male cheetah within the area who would see the male and chase him and then separate the male from the female. And that could be the moment in time that they separate. But otherwise, it just might be a decision that they make. The male's testosterone levels are starting to kick in, the female starting to feel broody, and although she might not be able to mate, would go walk around looking for a male to potentially mate with. You'll notice as she sits there, she's just having a power nap from time to time. Although she's standing up, you see she closes her eyes for a bit, then opens them. That's something that she's going to do throughout the morning, is not go into this deep sleep. Just close her eyes and open them, close them. You don't often see them doing it when they're standing like this. Normally you'll see them napping like that in the position that the cubs are in at the moment. Now she is looking in a westerly direction from where we are now. And in that direction there was a herd of impala that I saw earlier. I don't think she's seen them yet, but I'm hoping that she might see them or smell them. The wind is coming from that direction, and maybe we'll get lucky with her showing some interest in them.
Well, by the looks of things over here, I think there is a pipe to the left of where Kijana is, and I think that's where the warthog was sleeping. So they actually pulled it out of there. So it's a whole family, and it's gone. It's no longer there. And looks like Olalashe and Kijana were the first ones on this meal because they've eaten the most, and then everybody else came in later. Yeah, once they've eaten like this, it's easy. They will go for up to 3 days without eating. Of course, later on today, if there is something to be eaten, they will actually try and dominate it and eat it. They always constantly try to accumulate lots of Ryan, Jumbo, how many kilos of meat can a lion eat? Well, a good question. And when it hasn't eaten at all for at least 4 days, that means it's really desperate. It can eat a good 80 pounds of meat. That is 40 kilograms in one sitting. That is a lot of meat. We're talking about half a warthog. So it can eat, 40 kilograms of meat. And it doesn't mean that it's when it's really well fed that it won't nibble on anything. They're constantly, trying to accumulate as much, fat as possible. So in those lean times, they are able to go for a little bit longer, up to around, 10 days without eating. So if they get something continuously for about 3 days, they will definitely, go for it as much as possible. And they're not fussy, whatever it is over here, from warthogs, impala, they will eat. For them, it looks like they're very lazy, but the last time they were seen, they're quite a long way from here. So walking and trekking that distance is already a good exercise. And having eaten all the protein, it makes them really, really muscular. That's why, they're very strong. And actually, they rule the plains. They're mostly more successful at night. And I would say this kill was made during the night or very early this morning, because their sight is much, much better. He said it's almost 6 to 10 times better than ours. Their sense of hearing is also very, very good. And so they have, those senses they need to utilize, to be able to, be functional at night. This is the end of their territory. And a few weeks ago, I witnessed Kijana, Olalashe, and Fang having a fight not far from here. Since that day, I've never seen Fang but he seems to be begging to be accepted to this pride. And by the looks of things at the end of the fight, he was accepted. He left with 2 lionesses, and we've never seen him since then. From here, we have the River Pride to the left of those lionesses you see there, and this is the same area where 2 years ago they had a very big fight. And the River Pride, the Olololo, lost about 3 cubs. I'm gonna try and reposition. Let's take you to another live location.
Welcome back to this other side of the Mara. We've come across a lone hippo bull, and look at him, he looks agitated. They have to check what's around them. So hippos out of water can be dangerous. So always, especially for the bulls like these, when they are out in the open, they know they can fall prey to anything, especially lions and a big clan of hyenas. The safest point is in the water. Look at his hind legs. It looks like he had some big bites from Kobe, another big bull. We are far from the Mara River, so he's seeked refuge in a small pond. So possibly he was walking back to the pond and then saw us. Normally when there's enough food, when there's more grass for hippos to graze, sometimes they can be late heading back to the river. And also sometimes they can walk out of the river late. During the dry times, you find that sometimes they leave the rivers early and returning also early because they walk a long distance to find grass. But here we have lots of grass. It's raining, so at least he can enjoy being out for long. Let me try and back up a little bit. Butterfly, he looks sweaty. Indeed, he looks sweaty. It looks like he was in a water pool. You can see he's got leaves on his back. During the dry season, they are known to walk long distance, up to about 45 kilometers round trip back to the water. There are other people who've come to watch this hippo, so he's carefully staring at them. So there's more space between us and the hippo. So he's feeling relaxed now. He's gone back to grazing. You can see him feeding. Brooke, where's the hippo going? The hippo, as I think he was heading back to the pool. We always find him. But then because we have other people coming on game drive, so he decided to head back and graze, and then later on he'll head back to the pool. So he's probably heading back to where we normally find him, because hippos will always be in the water during the day, and sometimes out in the open if the area is not disturbed or there's good forage for them to eat. So that shows he's relaxed now. He's gone back to grazing. But once in a while he has to check around and then carry on grazing. How long can hippos survive without food? They can at least go for about a week and a half, and sometimes even 2, because you find that there are areas where it gets super dry, so taking that long migration from one water source to another, sometimes even up to 2 weeks. So I think it can take up to 2 weeks before they can find the next meal. Seems like he wants to go back to his pool to relax. So I'll give him space and head off to find something else. Taking you over to Lauren for a moment of silence.
Well, yeah, you just came in and right on time. This female is not very happy that, the males ate, and she's throwing a tantrum. You hear that? She's not very happy by the looks of things. Not happy at all. that the males ate most of it. Maybe she's the one that, oh, look at that one, is taking off with a leg. Has taken off with a piece of leg. Yeah, she's not happy at all, that lioness to the left. She didn't have much. And maybe she's the one that made the kill. Yeah, still being very, very aggressive. Yeah. You can hear her growling. Not happy at all. Yeah, I don't think it will be very good for Alalashe, because this is where, and this is the reason why females sometimes just sneak away from the males, because they're killing and the lionesses are taking. Sorry, the lions are taking. The lionesses kill, the lions take. So eventually the lionesses just slid away and go. Actually, this is Bahati's mom. Yeah, by the looks, it is Bahati's mom. And it is sad but true. We haven't seen Bahati for around 3 weeks. Those mammary glands don't look like they've been utilized. And at this stage, to be just, I'll just, something that it's very sad but true. I don't think Bahati is alive. And I hope, he went in a good way, because those mammary glands are not being used. We've not seen him. And it's sad but true. He is not with us. Yes, and I'm actually quite grateful to have seen that short time that he was with, with the mom out in the open. And also, he did give us a very good time, a very good show. And that is also a behavior of lions that, we got to experience, where the mother really tried to protect Bahati by all means necessary. Lion lover, you ask, how many prides are there in the Mara? It's a question that I cannot really answer. When you talk about the Mara, we are talking about 1,520 square kilometers, and the adjacent land around the Mara is 4,000, almost 500 square kilometers. So we are talking about an area of about 6,000 square kilometers. And if you divide that by around 60 square kilometers, it's a lot of lions. I can only confess to say that the ones in the Mara Triangle are plus minus 8 prides, and that is the best of my knowledge. The rest of the area has got lions everywhere, and I don't know all of them, and very few people would be able to give you an answer on that. Lion lover, yes, Bahati was one of those cubs that was unlucky to be born at a stage where a transition was taking place, and so chances of him surviving were very, very slim. The reaction we saw from Kijana being there to try and take him for almost 36 hours was definitely, an experience I've never seen. And also it did tell me that he didn't belong to these two males, and that's why they wanted to get rid of him. I hope he went in a different way, because I would not want to imagine. I've seen lions kill cubs, and it's not always very good because they end up eating them towards the end. So I hope it was different. Well, after eating, lions are masters of resting, and if you want to know how to really rest and sleep, I wish we could speak lion, because lions know how to do it. And one thing about them is they are not afraid of any other predator, so they sleep without worry. Most animals would worry being close to them, so they sleep without any worry. I think I'm gonna stay here for a little bit longer because it's a nice experience that I am having here. But let's take you to another live location. Well, my lions are still resting. Some of them are eating. They were quite active about 10 minutes ago, and through experience, I know they normally rest like this for about 10, and then they have to wake up, either change positions or move a little bit. So when they're resting like this, never get tired of lion. Just wait, have patience. And if you have faith, they will, change, and they will, move around. But this is what they do once they've eaten, because this could have been a very perfect hour for them to be able to start, to get something, either another warthog, another topi. At this time of the year, warthogs are getting a hammering. This is also the time of the year where they have lots of young ones, so it's perfect for lions. I'm not happy that they are eating them, but through experience is what they eat at this time of the year, and there's nothing I can do. And the lions, the warthogs are very, very, sharp this time of the year. They don't stop for very long. They try and avoid open grass where they can be seen, so they're always in very thick grass. Of course, it's a very bad place to be, but it's an added advantage because a lion at a low spot won't be able to spot, the warthog.
Good morning to everybody. A very, very warm welcome to Tswalu Kalahari. My name is Kyle, and behind camera is David. We have traveled very far south to this spectacular scene that we have in front of us. It literally looks like part of the Delta. It is phenomenal to see such a sight. This is from the rains that we had previously, a couple of weeks ago, a week or two ago. And you'd see that this is a perfect spot to hold such a large amount of water. And there's a lot of life moving around here. Lots of birds, lots of ants, a lot of insects. So we've decided to come this side and scratch around here for this morning and see what we can find. We hear an African cuckoo behind us, which we're going to go lock in, see if we can see some incredible behavior. But it's just not every day that you get to see a vast amount of water like this. It is truly remarkable. I have brought my costume along, my little Speedo. I'm going to break it out and take a swim. Do a few laps. I need to get some exercise in for this morning. But amazing. I see a high development of trees here. You can see these camel thorns are very, very large. It's just amazing to see this amount of water. It feels like I'm in the delta. So something we're also trying to understand is what importance do these annual pans have? If you think about, things from mosquitoes to, roller. We've got a beautiful roller in flight, just busy going away from us. Oh, beautiful. It looked like a lilac-breasted roller. Is it springtime in South Africa, Daniel? We are coming on to full summer now. We are in the full swing of summer, where obviously heat would be a big factor, and then obviously for us, rain. We're in a summer rainfall period here in Tswalu. Obviously, the Savannah biome is categorized by having summer rains. And where you can see the amount of water up here, this is definitely from these summer rains, which is much needed in this area. We are hopefully in what we refer to as a wet season. If you look at climate is obviously weather over a very long period. You have wet and dry seasons. And we are fingers crossed to be approaching a wet season, which would be great for all aspects of life. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to scratch around this pan. We're going to be looking at a few things, and then we're going to try and lock down on that beautiful African cuckoo. We're going to send you off to one of our colleagues, and we'll see you when you get back this side.
So we've just been following her for about 2 minutes or so now, and I think she's picked up on the scent of some impala. Earlier on, just before we found her, we saw a herd of impala just to my left, maybe about 50 meters or so. And one of the rangers who's watching these cheetah with us, who's just ahead of us, says that he can see the impala up ahead. Now, judging by her behavior, maybe she's picked up on the scent of the impala, but she hasn't seen them. And that's why you see her scanning around, trying to see if she can see what she can smell. She is pretty much looking straight into the direction where those impala should be. But this area that we're in at the moment is an old riverbed, and it drops down just a little bit up ahead. And I think those impalas are just behind a mound, what she can't see. But this is the ideal habitat for her to be able to stalk. And once she spots those impala, we'll be able to know just by her body language. She'll drop her head down. Her head will probably be at the same level as her shoulders, pin her ears down a little bit more. Now, as you know, this time of the year, the impalas have lots of lambs, and that's what she's ideally going to try and hunt. Minamu, cheetah, like most predators, that instinct to run after whatever is running away is what they chase. If say a big male impala or an Ngala had to stand its ground and face the cheetah and they wouldn't run, then I think the cheetah would probably be a bit hesitant to try and take him on. And the reason being is that the cheetah would recognize the potential threat that the horns of that impala or that wildebeest would have on the cheetah. And a cheetah being impaled by the horns, which is possible, it does happen, would be a fatal wound. And so if they are standing still or stand their ground, the cheetah would probably stop a couple of meters before. Go ahead.
Can I please take them on it?
You can make your way. Now, obviously, if they do come across a carcass, a fresh carcass at least, a cheetah would feed on that. So that, minimum, that one's not going to run away. But what's a bit strange about cheetahs is that they don't seem to scavenge as much as what other predators would. Lion, leopard, hyena would feed on carcasses that are very rotten. Cheetahs tend to actually be quite fussy. Ooh, I think the cub's just seen one of the impalas. You see how it got up and started trotting? Now, this is the one problem with hunting with cubs, is that when the cubs are around, they often ruin the hunt. And so that would then give their position away to the mother. So the one cubs remain behind. Probably, it looks like the young male. I actually thought it would be the female who remained behind. And then the other cub's gone up ahead. Now the mother's trying to see exactly what that cub has seen. Just going to go a little bit forward, but we're going to keep our distance. I don't want to ruin the hunt by giving the cheetah's position away. But I want to see what they're interested in, so I'm just going to go about 10 meters forward. Now, like I said, there's a little mound to the left where I think that these impala could be, or at least where they were earlier. I wonder if this youngster's going to climb up on the tree here to try to get a bit of a vantage point. She might do the same thing. Oh, something poked her or flew out of that tree. Oh, there's a big elephant to the left as well. This could get very interesting. Now, if this female cheetah was thinking about hunting, this elephant would pose a bit of a problem for her. Now, although she isn't a threat towards this massive elephant bull, elephants don't like predators. And this big bull elephant would definitely chase her and her cubs if he had the opportunity. And if he had to see her trying to kill a impala, he could very well come running over and chase them off. You'll see how she's smelling around on the tree here. Now, that could be because something else has walked in, scent marked up against the tree. Could have been another cheetah, could have been a leopard. Could very well be from their last time they were here, and maybe slightly confused, going, this smells familiar. We know that this female has been hanging around in this area with her cubs, and a fallen over tree like that is probably a tree that they've climbed on quite a few times. So we can't see the elephant now, but the elephant is kind of heading in the exact same direction at which these three cheetahs are heading in. So the one cub is just up ahead. Oh, I can see the impala now. And the impala are looking this way. I'm just going to stop here. No, the impalas are looking at us, they're not looking at the cheetah. Got a big elephant bull, we've got a couple of impala and 3 cheetah. This could get very, very interesting. So this female will be using all these little hills. You can see these sort of mounds between her and the impala. Oh, there comes the elephant. You're going to see it now in maybe 5 seconds. Right between the impala and the cheetah. That is a very big elephant bull. He's not aware of the cheetah. You can see by the way he's walking, and he's actually completely ruining the hunt for these cheetah. You see how just by walking towards the impala, they have moved out the way. And so now they've run off, which could be an advantage, could be a disadvantage, because now those impalas might be focused on the elephant, and could give this female a chance to position herself in a good area to be able to run. Now, I didn't see any impala lambs. I did see a female, so there could be some more impala up ahead. And like I said earlier, that this female would probably be looking to try catch a lamb, just much easier to catch. And when you're hunting, you want to try to save as much energy as you can, so attack what is the easiest to catch. And unfortunately for impala this time of the year, it is lambs. But if there's an old injured impala, then she would probably focus on that, because probably around the same amount of energy to try to catch an old impala, but the reward is much higher, much more meat on them, particularly with 3 cheetah like this. The little impala lamb won't go very far. And just like I thought, this elephant has completely chased these impala away, which is not ideal. But they're not going to be too far, and she's got an incredible sense of smell, and if she can't see them, she will most certainly track them down by smelling them.
Well, I'm sure the impala are happy that they've escaped and evaded that clever and quick cheetah. We're watching a beautiful sable bull that's just come into this watering hole for a little early morning drink. And we can see it's a bull with that very extensive... Oh, African cuckoo! It's in the tree! Sorry, folks. Yo, that's a laugher! Oh, my word! Yo! That is one times laugher for me, folks. African cuckoo might not be exciting, but for a birder, that is like payday right there. And we've been hearing it on the southern part of this pad. So that's what we're looking for, and we're going to try and follow that bird to watch a bit more about its behavior, because they search for fork-tailed drongo nests, and once they've located the nest, they drop an egg in the nest, and then they are gone, which is really remarkable behavior to see. So in terms of it finding a nest and how it gets to lay the egg, and then obviously the deterrent from the fork-tailed drongo is really remarkable behavior. But we're just enjoying this beautiful sable bull. You can see it's a bull from the very extensive set of horns that it has. It is a little bit lighter in color. Female would be that light chocolate, almost like chocolate color. Whoa, Marianne, this is the first time I'm experiencing this pan being filled up. I would say this would stay here for another at least 3 odd weeks if we don't receive any more rain. We have looked at a weather report, and the biometric pressure does drop this afternoon, so that is a clear indication that we might be receiving more rain. But if we didn't have that rain approaching, there it goes again. This will more than likely stay full for about 3-4 weeks. It will shrivel down to a tiny little body of water. And that's what we're trying to understand on Tswalu. It's never been looked at in depth. What importance do these annual pans play within Tswalu? Not just within Tswalu, but the whole Kalahari system. If you think about a puddle of water sitting in a road, it is unbelievable how much life just one little puddle can sustain. From mosquito larvae to dragonflies, you name it. So, bodies of water like this over here are of vital importance to further growth and development, not just for the insects themselves, but for the food chain, down the line. It's remarkable. So I would say 3-4 weeks, it's quite a lot of water. We can see over here that the water was sitting much higher. So if David can just come in this side, you can see over here the water was sitting up to here. And this is dry now. So, look at that, it's wet underneath there. So this must have been about a week already where the water has resided, and obviously is at this point. But it's remarkable to see the amount of water. Yeah, it's soft. Sure, incredible. But really special to see this, and I'm so happy that we came down here to share this with you folks. Because in my 4 years now being on this beautiful property, this is the first time I've seen so much water. Oh, Jane, what is the most unique water bird that we've sighted here in Tswalu? Oh, I would have to maybe say squawko heron, or one of the waterfowls. You do have them being blown in off course. If you think about big storms, they get blown in and across the country, obviously being quite an abrasive force, being pushed around by a storm. I'd have to say squawko heron by my reports and my sightings. I'm sure there's been 1 or 2 rarities. We've found gulls here in Tswalu. which is pretty remarkable. We're very, very far from the ocean, but it shows you how far a bird can be blown off course. We've found white-winged terns out far in the western section of the Tswalu. So there's been one or two very, very rare and special birds that have blown in from big storms. Sure, the camel thorns in this area are just magnificent. These are fairly large trees, and you can see from this body of water that this is where water would sit for a longer period of time. Also the topography where water would be draining into this area, feeding and fueling these big trees. It's an African grey. Looks like an African grey hornbill just landed into that big, beautiful camel thorn. And myself and David were looking at that, then we both agreed that that is the perfect picnic spot right now. But for now, we're going to send you off, and we'll see you when you get back this side.
Welcome back to the Mara, and this time round we are at the Mara River. We just happened to miss an inland crossing and a zebra. They just came and went past the main crossing. We're expecting more zebras to come in. Look at the crocodiles, they'll all come to just wait. We have about 7 crocodiles waiting because they know this is the time that most zebras will cross. Look at them waiting there. They can feel the vibration when animals are walking through this water. So that's the reason why they always swim upstream. There's a hippo walking, and you can see he's going upstream. But they also have respect between these two species. Crocodiles will always give way to these kind of hippos, especially the big ones. Hippo bulls will always patrol along the river. You'll see them walking upstream, downstream, making sure that no other intruders come into their territories. Depending on how big the river is, depending on how big the dam or the lakes, they can mark territories up to about 12-kilometer stretch. So you can imagine them patrolling that stretch, making sure that younger bulls and bulls from other pods don't walk into his territory. Leopard lover, how do crocodiles reproduce? Crocodiles will be, sometimes you see them mating in the water, and the females will always walk out of the river and find a suitable spot where they lay their eggs on the riverbanks, and always staying guard to watch not to be taken by predators like the monitor lizard, baboons. Around November to December, this is when we normally see them guarding their nest. So you find that in other times of the year, crocodiles will be up and around, but sometime during July, September, you see them mating, and around October, November, they'll be on the riverbanks guarding. So they'll guard the nest for about 90 days. When they hatch, Totally a crocodile territorial. Yes, the big males will always keep the younger males away and other small males within the raft that they are in or within the float, making sure that no intruders come in. They're also very, very, very territorial also. Like we always see in places where it's not disturbed, where it's peaceful and calm, these hippos will walk out of the river to go and graze even during the day. Look at what he's gonna do, he's marking his territory. They dung shower or dung splatter on the riverbank and also on the path that they always use to walk out of these rivers. Only the bulls mark their territory. Females and young ones don't mark their territories. He's picking another spot to mark his territory.
Well, I've been sent for a wild goose chase for the last, I don't know how many minutes that I was missing from the show for. And that's because, like I was telling you, when we sit at the den, you get really good audio, and we heard a leopard sawing at LEPERES, which is to the east of the den, quite a bit east, but towards the Mulwati. Get there, stop, hear it again. And that's really what you want to do, is you want to stop and then be able to listen again and give you, and the leopard will give you direction to where it is, because they'll be sawing and you can hear it. Sawing really frequently, so I thought it might be Tlalamba. Got into the Mulwati, sawed again, and now it's back up by LEPERES. Get up at LEPERES, saws again, and now it's in the Mulwati but closer to Twin Dams. Get back into the Mulwati, wait, no sawing for a long time, and then sawed again, and now to the southeast, kind of central Mamba area. So we've done central Mamba, Batalia, and the whole of the Mulwati and Twin Dams. It's turned up nothing. So I suspect maybe it was not Tlalamba, maybe it was Mulwati. And if that is the case, we will be very lucky if we do see him. But it was a nice chase to try and find it. But I think now we're just gonna leave it up to luck. So I'm going to head back now towards Twin Dams and see what we can find.
We're still at the Mara River and just watching this river flow and just a beautiful sound. Watching the crocodiles and the hippo that went away. There are some zebras that were coming this way, so we're just hoping that they'll soon be here. But I might check further downstream because some of them went to a different crossing point. With the one zebra that went past and and the eland, we see that more crocodiles are coming in. There was a topi that just came close to the river and went back to grazing. I think he might have thought of crossing, but then saw these crocs and went back. So they know it's that time when these zebras will cross. So they're also waiting for a share of a breakfast. It's amazing how they hold their balance by propelling their tails because the water is actually flowing the opposite direction and they're swimming upstream. So holding that is actually so amazing. And they can wait there for even an hour, 2, and sometimes even 3 hours, just waiting patiently for animals to come and cross. As I wait patiently here, watching these crocodiles, let me take you over to another silent session with Lauren.
from a quiet segment to this corner of mine where it is quite empty, but definitely there is somebody watching me from a distance saying, here comes Isaac, and do we show up or do we stay in? I am in Romi's territory. If in case you don't know, Romi is one of our resident young female leopards, and this is her territory. Since I found those lions very early, there's nothing else I could do because they were just sleeping. I have to come here and see if I can find her. And she's in a prime estate that is full of thick bushes, and driving here is very, very tricky because there is long grass and deep ruts, so I have to be very, very careful. Also, there is very beautiful, very long trees, tall trees, I would say. You know, a perfect habitat for her. And, you know, I don't know if I'll find her, but you always have to come and try. We haven't seen her for quite a while. Last time she was seen by David, and she was up on a tree somewhere down the road. So I'm gonna continue on. Let's take you to another location while I continue my search.
Well, if there's anybody that's going to find it, it's going to be Isaac. It's definitely going to be Isaac. So just in terms of this pan over here, like I said, this is the first time I've experienced this much water on Tswalu, especially early in the season. And I'm not sure how long this pan would actually hold water. So 3 weeks, anywhere up to a couple of months, this area could hold and sustain water, which is very, very important. And then a brilliant question asked earlier, what is the most strangest bird I've seen on Tswalu? That would be of the corn crake. So if I can show you here, there's the distribution, normal distribution of that bird. And we all the way up over... Sorry, David. We all the way up over there. So it shows you how far that bird was off of its normal range, which is quite remarkable. Corn crake.
Can you show us again?
Oh, yeah, all the way up over there. So that's where Tswalu is, just underneath the blade of grass, and that is the normal distribution of that bird. So it got blown off very, very far from where it usually is found. And it's always really nice to...
Can you see which one it is?
The corn crake is this guy right over here. Very, very specialized bird. Look at those very large feet, very long toes, and that is obviously an adaptation on how this animal would wade through soft, muddy, swampy vegetation, obviously displacing its own weight and supporting itself. But what we are doing now is we are slowly venturing through this beautiful tapestry of camel thorns, and what we are looking for is that fork-tailed drongo nest. We saw a fork-tailed drongo just south of us, and what we're doing is just watching its behavior, where it's going, what it's doing. What we initially want to find is actually this bird with a food item in its mouth or nesting material. Then we know that that bird means business, and if we find its nest, we have got something spectacular in line for you guys. It's going to be a bit hard, it's going to be tricky. I do like a challenge, and finding nests are always a challenge because birds have to be very, very clever. So if you look at this over here, this is perfect. So how many bird species are found in Tswalu? So Tswalu has a general list. So this is all birds that have been recorded in Tswalu, and that list is 250 odd. That's a list that is kept of any bird that is recorded in this area, which is very important information. But generally through the summer, we're looking at about 120 odd birds in summer, in the height of summer, and then in winter it goes down to about 80. That is the annual winter and summer count of birds on Tswalu. It's not tremendously diverse, it's not huge, but it is very well suited for an area like we are in at the moment. So trees like this over here, this camel thorn, makes a perfect haven for birds to find the best spot to make a nest. And what we are looking for is a beautiful little woven platform that is suspended between two branches. So basically where the branch would be forked, they would make this little nest in the fork of a tree, which is remarkable. And it's quite a small nest, especially when they get a bit larger. When the chicks develop, they get quite they outgrow this nest actually. So finding them would be absolutely top prize for us. But the camel thorn's definitely a big role play out here for birds finding the suitable spot for a nest. You can see the white-browed sparrow weavers have taken up a good spot over here. Nice waterside view. Glenn, so those nests are actually on the southern side of that tree. Some species, like the red-billed buffalo weaver, they tend to make their nest on a certain side. That would be obviously prevailing for warmth late afternoon. Whereas in Tswalu over here, these white-browed sparrow weavers, I find them more on the western, north or southern side of a tree. That's when you have the late afternoon sunlight that would actually warm that nest up, in the approaching chilly evenings. So northern, northwestern, northwestern, and then west, southwest. That's where they would make their nests on Tswalu. Yo, lots of starlings coming over us. Whew. I need to slow down a bit as well because I tend to get very excited and I start to get rattled. So I'm going to slow down a bit. We had a beautiful bunch of wattled starlings that just flew over us and they've all landed down there. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in the vehicle and we're going to hit the northern side of this pan and see what we can unearth. There goes some more, David, on the left here. Yo, look at that. Beautiful to see these little flocks coming through like this. Fantastic. Alrighty, let's get in the vehicle and let's go a bit further north. For now, we're going to send you off to another amazing location.
I have come to one of my favorite places now on the reserve, and that is to visit our helmet shrike family. So many interesting things have been going on here, and I've been doing a bit of investigating. I've been kind of documenting it from the time we found it. The first time we found this white-crested helmet shrike, there we go, nest was on the 22nd of November. It was during the silent safari, and at that time we saw. Oh, let's go to the Mara quickly. We'll chat about this in a bit.
Welcome back to the Mara. We've gone downstream and zebras are crossing. Look at that. We thought that it was only one zebra further upstream, but all of them came and gathered. Further downstream, look at how speedy they are. We have more getting into the river, getting into the waters, and you can see how they're walking fast. Oh, the crocodile almost caught one. Oh, and there's a lion waiting on the other side. Just look at the lion waiting. See, the lion is out on a hunt. The lion is waiting patiently. But seems like the zebras have seen her rather. And it's a lion with cubs. Oh. Super magical. Looks like there's 3 cubs there. How cute is that? Watching a crossing and then seeing those tiny cubs. The stallions are warning other zebras that there's lions on the other side. She's still waiting and expecting that there's another zebra walking out of the water. And there's another lion that just came to the riverbank. So there's 2 lionesses. she's hoping that more zebras will come in. So there's not just only one lioness, it's two. You can hear that sound, that as the stallion is going bizarre because they've seen the lionesses. What a surprise. Just on the nick of time, we just happened to see those zebras crossing and the lions waiting. Those tiny cubs were very, very cute. So I'm going to change position and watch all these zebras heading back upstream as I take you over to another live location.
Well, that was pretty awesome, right? I'm still here with these white-crested helmet shrikes, and I was just getting into the discussion of all the investigating I was doing. Firstly, I'd like to start this discussion off by saying if I wasn't a woman of science, I think I would have been a private investigator, but Hercule Poirot type private investigator, not like, that California one you see on TV. Anyway, so that's why I feel like when I see something strange going on or something I haven't observed before, I feel a little bit like I'm getting into the depths of why this is happening and trying to find out little clues. Oh, someone's come. Put some food. Oh, it amazes me.
TRISHALA, come in.
Can you hear the sounds of them picking? That's why I say it amazes me how big insects the adults can bring, and they manage to scoff it down. Those of you who don't know what's been going on at this nest, these are white-crested helmet shrike chicks for sure. But we've seen a chin spot batis, male and female, coming through and feeding these chicks. Now, we haven't spent enough time with them to know if one of them have tried to brood, that is to sit on and keep them warm. But we do know that the helmet shrike, one of the helmet shrikes, have at least sat on there to brood them. I say one of because it's not always the parent that does that, so it's somebody in the flock. So it's a very interesting behavior because you don't see that often. In fact, it was the first time I'd ever seen it, and a lot of people were saying it was the first time they'd ever seen a different species feed the chicks of another, which would not benefit them at all. So I did a little bit of digging. And I found a few reasons why that would be. Most of the papers that I found reasons from are actually quite old. 90s and 80s, and very few recent papers that had documented this kind of thing. So what this is called is interspecific feeding. That's feeding between different species. It's not beneficial for the batis to be feeding these chicks. But there are a couple reasons why they would do that. Now remember the first day when we came here on the 22nd and we saw them, there were more chicks than there are now. Now there's only 3. That day when we first saw them, there were about 4 to 5. So one of the reasons could be that this was a mixed clutch and they were cohabiting. So it meant that neither was getting anything bad from the situation, and both were benefiting, both species, by just sharing this cup-like nest, which is quite similar in both species. So maybe it was a mixed clutch, and now that there's only 3 of them, the batises still come back and attempt to feed, even though it may have been their chick that had been kicked out or died. that is option number one, or possibility number one. Second possibility is that the original nest of those batises could be destroyed. And they're working on instinct, coming back here and just seeing and hearing chicks beg. The most likely explanation is that the batis have a nest nearby. In which case, if they do have a nest nearby, what tends to happen instinctually is that the male will come back, will be, foraging around and then hear the begging of chicks and see the yellow gape and instinctually come through and feed, while its partner, most likely the female, will be sitting and brooding. I think that makes sense because we see the male batis come through to feed them more often than the female. And in the one paper that I was reading, which was actually very specific to this, it was interspecific feeding in birds, a review. So it was pretty much exactly what we needed to hear here. About 24% of the sample had a nest close by, and that was the reason for why they were feeding other chicks in other nests close by. Then the other things would be like calling from these young, that would again pull them instinctually here. And maybe if they were mateless, which I thought was an interesting one, but these all account for very, very little in terms of percentage. If they were mateless, if that batis was mateless, but was feeling, everybody else has got chicks and the feeling was coming through, then it could start to feed these chicks. And other little things, like maybe they found orphaned birds or things like that. But for us, I think that either the original nest being destroyed or a close nest of the batis would be the best explanation. I'm sorry if this sounds like droning on scientifically, but let me send you over to the Masai Mara while you absorb all of the science.
Welcome back to the Mara. It seems like these zebras are impatient to just wait and see all the others. Look at how they're crossing. They've picked a spot where the water is torrent, and they're so brave getting across. Wow, that is interesting. The reason why look at that tiny fall has made it across. Well done, well done. So the others that have crossed are actually making these others on our side prompt or want to go across. There's more zebras walking into the bush, and let's see if they'll get across. So they're impatient. They know that members of their family, members of their zeal are across. You can hear the stallions calling from the other side, and definitely they also want to get across. They're slowly walking back to the river, and let's see if they will make it across. There's some torpies also gathered on the other side of the river. Wow, it's a morning of activity here at the Mara River. It's unlike other days when we have to wait patiently at the river for them just to come and watch for crocodiles. But this time round, they just walk to the river and just get across. Definitely this wants to cross, and they will get to the river, because seeing other members of their zeal on this other side, they will have to make sure that they push their way forward to get there. They have to watch, they have to be keen because of predators. You can see one advancing to the riverbank and the others following. Everyone is running and seems like they're not going to stop. There's just one just close to the river. And off he goes. With the other ones joins? Yes, they are joining. Fellow viewers, we're just watching a nice, beautiful crossing. Zebras crossing the Mara River, going to the Masai Mara Reserve. Oh, they decided to head back because I think there's some crocodiles or hippo just spooked them. Oh, there's 5 crocs. Wow, that was super lucky for them. Zebras are so brave and they'll do anything to make a cross. And if the crocodiles come their way, they definitely have to come back, just as we witnessed. If the place is not safe, they look for somewhere else. I'm still going to follow this herd. Seems like they're going upstream as I take you over to another live location.
Well, here I have, elephants mating, and this is how they do it. Yes, usually there's a very fast pursuit, and then the female stops, and then there is mounting, and then it's over, and that is a very, very young female. I think she's dwarfed a little bit by the grass, but it's hard to believe that it's about 13 years old. This could be her first mating. Yes, and she will mate a few times with different males, and usually it's the biggest and the most intimidating male gets to mate with her. Yeah, there was a lot of calling, and males were heading in one direction. We didn't know what was going to happen, but sure enough, it was the lone young cow sending us message that she is in season. Yeah, the two to the right are males, and then there is another big male coming. Yeah, there was a lot going on earlier. There was a hot pursuit by two males. Yeah, there was lots of, happening. Yeah, this is the guy who chased one of the other out of the area. I thought he was going to want to mate, but yeah, he did. Okay, so he's heading back slow. Well, Joy, yeah, there's always the first time. Yeah, that's how they mate. Yeah, I think all the food they've been eating has been very, giving them lots of energy, so they're very active. Females are coming into season. Yeah, female will mate a few times with different males. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. They just stopped there now. The male is approaching. Yeah, he's investigating. Yeah, they will mate for about 2 days, but it doesn't last very long, and she's the one that pulls the strings. Yeah, don't know what they're discussing now there. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I don't know what they're discussing there. I'm gonna turn around. There was a tiny little one that we left behind, different area here. Still there. Very, very small. Yeah, it's over there in front of us somewhere. You'll see it. Very, very small. Looks like it was born last night. Yeah, he's amongst those. You can see it. Tiny, tiny little one there. There it is. Yeah, everybody's investigating. Really happy, to see this little one. And everybody's being very, very protective. Everybody wants to touch it, want to feel it. They want, to celebrate. Yeah, they do that. Elephants, there is always a lot of trumpeting, a lot of emotion. It's like celebrating a newborn. You can tell everybody is headed there. Everybody wants to touch it. Still very, very small. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that is one of the smallest one I've seen the last few days. Yeah, everybody's being very, very protective.
Welcome back to Tswalu. We have decided just to stop the vehicle, get out and appreciate the beauty that is around us from these life-giving rains. This is such an amazing little flower. We took a look at that giant ground lily or saw-eyed lily a day or two ago, and it was a very flamboyant and large flower in comparison to this very delicate little item. I mean, if I hold this still so we can take a good look at it, look at that. That is very, very complex. This little flower is known as African cabbage, or it's got another name, spider wisp. You can see from these little extensions over here, that'll actually be the supporting structure for the anther, the male structure of this plant. You can see the little orange, let me just move over here quickly. Let me hold this straight over here. The little orange buds there, that's where the pollen will be produced. And if you just look at flowers, the structures of flowers can be extremely varied, and they can be very complex. Actually, a design that is perfectly suited to enable or allow insects to do something, which is pollinate them. I mean, look how intricate that is. That's just remarkable. So after good rains, these little flowers can flush areas. And I'm sure David's giving us a fantastic view.
A bit windy.
It's a little bit windy, yeah. A bit windy. That movement of wind shows us that we definitely have a weather on approach this way. But that is a remarkable structure. So you can actually, one can eat this. You can eat this as like a spinach almost. We call it morojo here in Tswalu. What animals would feed on the flower? Not so much the flower, but the leaves are the structures that would be highly consumed over here. So these would be consumed, and it's very easy to recognize. It's almost got like a palm and hand-like structure, 3 to 5 lobes, very easy to recognize. And then, that African cuckoo is right, yeah, to see it again. But the flowers, you can have various insects that would eat flowers and the petals. But obviously what you want here is somebody not to come and eat you, but to take the pollen from there. And look how small that is. It's unbelievable. From there and basically go to another flower and disperse one's genetic value. So looking at this lovely little plant, you can see it's just dominating through this area. David's giving us a great view. So we can eat it as like a spinach, raw or cooked. We actually have it here in Tswalu with a few of our meals that are on plate for our guests. So they can be eaten dried or cooked, and they actually have a very high mineral content, especially magnesium and iron, which is obviously great. Obviously, if you eat something, you want good nutritional value from the consumption of something, which this would obviously be great. some parts of the country, people also use it as a mustard substitute. So it's got a nice mustardy taste to it. But we're going to absorb and really appreciate this flower a bit more, and we're going to send you off just shortly somewhere else, and we'll see you when you get back this side.
So we headed quite a bit further west from where we had those cheetah, and we managed to come across these two very beautiful female lions, or lionesses should we rather say. And these are the two, I guess you would probably still call them sub-adults now, sub-adult lionesses of Mountain Pride. And it doesn't appear that the rest of the pride is with them. Now this is quite a strange pride, Mountain Pride, although there is a couple of adult females, 4 adult females in this pride and a couple of youngsters. Very seldom do you ever see the entire pride together. Now, yesterday I was talking about all the babies that are in the area, and I mentioned that Mountain Pride had a female which we think has just recently given birth in the last couple of weeks, and it is the mother of these 2 females. Now, what is a bit different about that is that these 2 females are still quite young. They're just under 2 years old. So, all right, we're going to do a quick link over to Djuma, then we'll see you back with these lionesses later.
I've just had one of the most ecstatic moments, I think, over here ever. 10 meters away from our white-crested helmet shrike nest, here's the Battis nest. There's a female brooding, sitting on there. There's one chick that I saw. The male came through, fed the chick, only 10 meters away. This is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is something that we see as a possible theory, possible explanation for why one species would feed another. And we are so lucky and so privileged to be able to see it right here. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. And that's the female chin spot Battis. Oh, and you can see the nests are quite similar. This is, we went through this journey together. We saw them, we saw the abnormality of the Battis coming to the white-crested helmet shrike nest. Now we did some research, we spoke about the possibilities, what it could be, what the possible explanations could be, and then here we go. There's our evidence if we ever needed any. The only thing that would make me even happier is if I saw the male go to the white-crested helmet shrike nest and then come here. There he comes back, there he comes. Amazing observation. I'm over the moon. Absolutely over the moon. The one other point, I feel like we've just tied up this whole story, but the last point that we've got to think about with this story is why we know that everything in nature is done to benefit, to increase your survival. So how does that instinct to feed another chick help the bat's survival? From an evolutionary perspective, why is that helpful? How could it even be? Essentially, he's wasting food and energy by feeding those chicks than his own. And in the one paper that I read, they put it so nicely. And basically what it says is that what may ordinarily be, it may be ordinarily advantageous to have a strong drive to care for young. And it is ordinarily advantageous because you want to care for your young. And it's so strong that it doesn't matter where or which young you're caring for, as long, of course, as you're always returning to your young at some point. And because the interspecific feeding is so rare, or it's rare enough, the practice and the drive to feed young is more important most of the time, because this type of interaction is so rare. So that's why it persists. I say rare, but in the papers I have read, one had 65 different bird species in a sample, and the other one had about 150. So rare, but definitely observed before. Not in the chin spot batis and the helmet shrike, though. Now I shall go home and have ice cream for breakfast to celebrate. Except I can't actually do that. But I feel like we've just tied this off so beautifully. And I bet it's something that you're never going to forget, because you've watched it happening. Sorry, had so much to say and so much I wanted to share with you in those last two segments, but I promise I'm done. You don't have to take notes anymore. Just know that I'm very happy, and I'm very happy to have shared this whole story with you.
Tswalu, sounds like you're having an incredible time there with the birds and seeing some very interesting and rare behavior of interspecies feeding, which is something that you probably will never ever see with lions, although there was that case, I think it was in East Africa last year or the year before, when that lioness was seen with a leopard cub, and that leopard cub was actually busy suckling off of her. That I think is just a once in a lifetime. Now, it's not necessarily uncommon to see within the same species. So lions have adopted other lions' cubs when the mother has died, if they have their own cubs, and allow those cubs to suckle. We've seen it with leopard and the Sabi sands. There was a crazy story once of a female leopard who came across her mother, and both of them had cubs, and when they went separate ways, the cubs followed the wrong mother, and they were able to bring up their mothers and their daughters' cubs, which was quite an incredible story. But yeah, interspecies feeding with predators is just something that doesn't happen. The competition amongst predators is just far too high for that to happen. I have seen different species of predators feeding on the same carcass, so they're not necessarily feeding each other, but feeding on the same carcass. In the Pilanesberg National Park, I've seen a cheetah and a brown hyena feeding on a wildebeest together. And then when I worked in the Sabi sands, I watched a single lioness and a hyena feeding on a carcass at the same time. And I have also seen it with a leopard and hyena. So a bit of a theme there, actually, with hyenas. And of the 4 cases, it was 3 times that it was a spotted hyena, and 1 time was a brown hyena, which is quite interesting. I guess in some ways, predators like lions making a kill, and there's some scraps that is left behind for the hyena to feed on, is indirectly interspecies feeding, I guess, but not quite the same as what we saw with the batis a little bit earlier, which is somewhat of an incredible story, and something I've actually never seen myself, so I'm very jealous with that. So Jen, these 2 females don't have cubs. They're sub-adult females. They're just under 2 years old now, but their mother has given birth, or we assume has already given birth. It did look like she had suckle marks when she was seen a couple of days ago. And those cubs are in an area where that pride pretty much over the last 5-6 years, almost every single year or every 2 years, has at least one of the females has given birth in that one little hill. And it is we call a koppie more than a hill. And if you look at these females, maybe directly behind them, probably half a kilometer away, is that set of hills where this pride of lions generally tends to give birth. Now, the reason why these two females aren't with their mother right now is that when those cubs are really small, they're vulnerable, and the mother doesn't like the rest of the pride to be with them. Because of them being small and fragile, these two cubs might try and play with them and accidentally injure or even kill them. And so their mother now is completely separated from the rest of the pride and her two daughters. That doesn't mean they won't join up. If she goes out and hunts and she comes across these two, she will hunt with them. If she makes a kill, she'll allow these two to feed with her cubs. And then once she's finished feeding, she'll head back, tell these two to remain behind. If they try to follow her, she might get a little bit aggressive. Or if they do follow towards the den, she will kind of keep them at bay and they might lie a couple 100 meters away. But while that female is busy denning, she's going to be spending quite a lot of time in one spot, not moving around too much, really only leaving to feed. And so these two females probably wouldn't really want to spend too much time with her. And although they're just under 2 years old, they are very capable of hunting at this age. And I was looking at the way this female was panting a little bit earlier. So I think that they have fed recently, although you see her busy trying to bite those flies. Those most certainly won't be any sort of substance for her. But I'm sure that they probably fed on something quite small, because she was walking around a little earlier and I didn't see a sort of fat belly, but she is panting. So I probably killed a baby impala last night. There's no evidence in this area of what they killed, and often we'll see vultures in the trees. But a young impala or a newborn impala often won't be seen by vultures because they will feed on most of it, if not all of it. Even a newborn, they'll be able to crunch and feed on some of the bones, so there's not going to be much left behind. But they've positioned themselves in a fairly good area here. There's a very large waterhole down at the bottom of this hill. And as the day goes on, there's going to be lots of different species moving to that area. And you'll see it's a nice thick area behind them, so they can move quite easily in this area to be able to try intercept anything that hunts. And then between them and us, and then behind us is an open area. And what will happen is the impalas, the zebra, the wildebeest, when they head to this open area, they're going to, to the waterhole, they're going to want to walk through this open area because they know that it's kind of like a safety tunnel that they can walk through. But there will be one or two spots where they'll have to walk through the thicket, and I'm sure that that's where these two females will try and intercept them. Anna-Marie, these two lionesses most certainly have pretty faces, and it is kind of what you do expect with younger lions, is that they haven't really had any fights. If there's been some fights around the carcass, probably not too serious. And so really only as they get older you start to see more and more scarring on their face. At this age, and probably still for another 4 or 5 years, that skin around their face is still quite tight. And then when they get to around 10 years or so, you'll start to see the drooping skin on their face. And I think lions are always pretty, but as they start to get older, their face doesn't tend to hold the beauty that they hold, at least at this age. In this age as well, you'll notice that their noses is a slightly different color to an adult lion, so still got a little bit of pink. So when they were born, their nose would have been quite pink. And then as they get older, it just gets darker and darker. Now, you see that they are quite restless. They keep dropping down and lifting their head, looking, dropping down, lifting their head. There's a fairly strong breeze at the moment, and that'll be causing quite a lot of noises on the tree, all the trees around them. And so they probably keep thinking that they hear something walking by. But we haven't seen anything in this area, so when we came and drove in, I didn't see any signs of, or any fresh tracks, or any impala or wildebeest. But I'm sure as the day goes on, something will come through here. If it's not a warthog, it'll probably be wildebeest, zebra, and impala. And down we go again.
I've just still been sitting here. I know we've tied up our story nicely, but I just want to observe and just have a look at them, and the fact that this is an entirely new nest now that we get to visit. And it's pretty cool. So that cup nest is one of the most amazing things I find. Look how well firstly it blends in to the branch that it's on. This nest is also in a red bush willow, same as the other nest. And it's kind of decorated with lichen. I think that's pretty cool. They also use spider web, just like the helmet shrike does. I've been waiting for the male to come back to feed the young one. I found it quite interesting that when the male brings an insect through, he hands it to the female, and then the female gives it to the chicks. Anna Marie, you'd like to know when these Battis chicks will start to fledge. According to the Roberts app, or the Roberts book, it'll fledge around, well, anything between 6 to 14 weeks. So that's quite a big period. But it's most likely that they fledge around 6 weeks, and then still are dependent on their parent up until 14 weeks. That would be the way I'd interpret what they're saying. You can usually hear him come along with a couple beak snaps. Now with these chin spot Battises, it's only the female that will brood the chick, whereas with the helmet shrike, while it's generally the parents, I think about 75% of the time, that will brood, other members of the flock will too. This one, it's just exclusively the female that will brood. David, you'd like to know if these birds sing? They do. I mean, it's not the like a really songbirdy sound, like say a robin or anything like that. It's just like a 3-note whistle. But they also beak snap. It's often said that they say 3 blind mice, but it's kind of like 3 blind mice. It has a drop tone in it, so it's not exactly like 3 blind mice. Maybe we'll hear them. These guys are also sometimes parasitized by the classes cuckoo, which is interesting. And one of the things we were looking at with the helmet strike was whether they're parasitized or anything like that, but they were not. Or whether the Battis was and how that would work, but obviously now we know how. But the Battis can be parasitized by the classes cuckoo. So now that chick is really little, but to me it looks like a Battis chick. But I guess as it grows, we'll see if it becomes a glasses cuckoo. I remember reading one instance of the helmet shrike being parasitized. I'm trying to remember where that was. I can't remember exactly, but it had to do with the helmet shrike, white-crested helmet shrikes being parasitized in some area in Africa that I can't remember where it was, but the reason being that the population of Reed's helmet shrikes, which are parasitized by thick-billed cuckoos, there had been fewer of them, or there was a smaller population. It's also interesting, so interesting. On a lighter note, I feel a little like, here she is, taking care of the young, sitting there. He hasn't come back now for a fair amount of time. Could he be feeding the other chicks? I kind of feel like he's cheating on her in a way, but it's just his instinct. He can't help it. He wants to feed chicks. Harley, you'd like to know which Battis species is this? It's the chin spot Battis. The male is black and white without a chin spot, but the female has that nice chin spot underneath her beak. And she's chestnutty in that spot underneath her beak. Battis molitor. Oh, the construction of that nest, it's just amazing. This is a good day to be looking for nest sites because it's cold and damp. Most birds will be protecting their young by brooding if they're in the nest and not leaving them open, except for brief times. Where is the male? Busy feeding someone else's children. And so close to home, too. On another note of update, it was Tlalamba that was evading me and moving further and further southeast. And eventually She crossed into Little Gowrie. Yep. So I followed her as long as I could, the sound of Tlalamba. Even up until Twin Dams, Gowrie Main, all the way on the southern border. And then up at Ledwood Road, she was seen crossing into Little Gowrie. But it was a good goose chase. I do enjoy myself some thrill in the morning. Jen, you say you're worried that this nest will fall because of the wind? Well, if you have a look at how secure it is, it almost looks like it's completely part of that branch, so it's not going to fall because of the wind. And also, it's way too small to be able to catch enough wind to drop it. It's very neat and compact. Also, remember that it's held together and stuck onto the branch with the aid of spider silk. So it is a strong nest. And I can assure you that you don't need to worry that it may fall. Come on, Dad. I'm sure he'll come with precious morsels soon. All right, well, I'm going to move on and see what else we can find.
Welcome back. What a magnificent scene we have in front of us here. With this is a group of male sable, all busy grazing on the nice, juicy, fresh grass. But what a backdrop. Look at that color behind them. That is from a tiny little flower referred to as tribulus, or we call them in South Africa, we refer to these flowers as dubbeltjies. And they produce a nasty little thorn that is a very efficient way of seed dispersal. But after good rains, they just make these uniform yellow carpets through parts of Tswalu. There it comes back, there it comes back. It's a laugher for me, Dave. Second laugher today, guys. Oh, my word. That is a red-billed buffalo weaver. It's like having pay and getting a bonus on top of your pay. Oh, my word. There comes another one. They're making a nest. Oh, my word. Yeah. Nice one, David. Oh, my word. They're right in this tree. Oh, lovely. Yeah. So we wrapped up and we heard this noise and we thought we had to do some investigative work. And we noticed the bird, and by the time we got a good look at it, it flew away. And that's a red-billed buffalo weaver, something that we don't see very often on Tswalu, and that's the second laugher for me this morning. That is unreal. It's definitely Christmas. Dave, can you focus on those two males there?
Yeah,
can you see them? Those males, look at their behavior. So that's a little bit of what we refer to as lateral display. And those are two males actually sizing one another up. And if equally matched, we might have a little bit of a tussle with these two males. But you can see the head posture, can see the body posture showing you that I am big and I am powerful. Watch out. Look at that. Wow. When it comes to standoff with males, certain species can fight to the death. And sable can inflict quite a nasty wound from those very, very long and sharp horns. They actually throw their horns backwards like a fork, throwing the horns basically over the shoulder and into its opponent. But what they're doing now is just sizing each other up. So if things are equally matched, they might go head to head. But as I've mentioned before, animals don't want to engage into physical contact or conflict because there is a potential, a very high risk of getting injured. And if you get injured out here, that is disastrous. So if you can ward off your competitor by just showing you that I'm stronger and tougher than you, you could avoid all that nasty conflict. Wow. Sure. Oh, Laura, there are magnificent structures. Look at the one on the right. Definitely showing more dominance. There are phenomenal structures and very important for males, obviously when it comes to male and male combat, but then also very important tools to defend oneself from a predator. Okay, let me just move a little bit forwards for us. Sorry, folks, I'm glued in here as well. Just hold on 1 minute for me. There we go. That is such great behavior to see. And when it comes to antelope, you know, we tend to kind of like, oh, it's just an antelope, but antelope are really diverse and super complex. And just watching behavior like this is such a treat. So you can see the one that's in front, or head pointing to the left, his horns are much smaller than his opponent. So the one with the larger horns definitely showing a little more dominant display. You can see he's holding his ground. Wow. Ears tucked back, look at that. Also a very, very important visual cue. The position of the ears can obviously admit certain messages, and that's definitely an aggressive posture there. You also want to get some airtime there, buddy. So I'll pull a bit forward for us, Dave. Okay, just hold on there, guys. I'm going to pull a little bit more forward, because if it goes down, these two males might end up fighting. We haven't moved very far from this pan. We've come to the southern side again. We've just done a massive loop in the time we've been here. Look at that. Wow. Those ears cocked right back. Can see the smaller one losing a bit of interest now. Maybe he just knows that he is not fit to challenge this big individual. And there's a forked-tailed drongo. Yes, we're looking for the nest. The forked-tailed drongo is right behind the sable, in the tree, in that brown patch, just above that big set of horns. You can see the jet black bird in the tree. That is a forked-tailed drongo. So just like those red-billed buffalo weavers, we want to find nesting material or food item in the beak, and then we know it is doing a nesting behavior. All right, we're going to stick with these bulls, and we'll see you when you get back this side.
Well, it's getting quite windy and wet and rainy. Sorry, I thought I saw a bird. This is the little track that leads to the hyena den. There seems to be a lot of bird activity. I like it. Okay, so like I said, it's getting quite miserable out here, so it's best we find a static sighting. So that's what we're going to try and do. I'm just going to check at the hyena den if there are any little munchkins around. Ooh. First I shall show you an interesting millipede. See it wrapped around there. I put my head down. There it is. It's got itself wrapped around black monkey orange. Rattling testicular shouting in the background. So cool.
Welcome back. So, looking at this group over here, these are all males. And you would find that these individuals would have been almost driven out the herd at about 3 to 4 years of age. And now, obviously, being solo, you want a partner somewhere along the lines just to stay safe. Obviously, more ears, more eyes. It's easier to pick up a predator. But then also you have a sparring partner, just like these two males are sizing each other up. This is all practice for when you eventually have to fight for the rights to access of a female. And it's very, very important. So here you are learning what to do. Because if things go wrong and you don't, you're not fighting and not doing your things in the right way, you're going to get hurt. And these bulls won't hesitate to drive a partner out very quickly and hurt him. Wow, look at their head. Held high, showing that I'm bigger and stronger than you. Just magnificent animals. Sure, getting blown away here. Literally getting blown away. So that young one thinks he's got the goods. He's not really backing down. I thought he would have moved off by now. Obviously, if you think you're stronger, you could maybe trick your opponent. Oh. Okay, so now the lateral display is done. So now we're going to start using the weapons and seeing who is more dominant in that arena. You can see the flies irritating, all those biting flies. We have a nasty little fly here called a cattle louse fly, which is irritating those two males to a very high degree. See the tails wagging, stomping the feet, trying to just deter them. And yo, look at that. Okay, there we go. You can see the large individual definitely still showing dominance, and the smaller one coming towards us now is obviously stepping down. What a beautiful scene. Green grass, all the little yellow flowers behind them. So when these bulls reach an age about between 5, 6, 5, 7, that's when they will go off and start to almost seek out a territory for themselves. And when they find a territory, this territory more than likely will be occupied by a dominant bull. And this is where this practice now comes into vital play for the bull. Here becomes another opponent. You can see the head held very stiff and erect. So you could see how those animals are positioned now, how those horns thrown backwards over the animal's shoulder could inflict a lot of damage. And the power in these animals is incredible. even the smaller ones. If you ever have a chance of doing a bit of game capture, if you're ever in Africa and you get the opportunity to get up close and personal with an animal, it's really remarkable. Obviously, safety number one, because it is a very dangerous thing to do. Game capture, but that's where you really understand the power in these animals is just frightening. Seems like everybody's getting a go on that big boy. Let's see who's the top bull here.
Yeah, welcome back, and we are here, and this is just a lion day for me. I have found the River Pride, and the River Pride has spread information that is telling me they are on a hunt. Remember, they're very, very good buffalo hunters, and that's what they are going for. Many of them are females. There is about 2 males and about 5 females, and 4 of the females have got suckle marks. So it's another good news from having bad news this morning about Bahati. It's good news that those 7 cubs that they have are still alive, because there is one female, I call her Flopia or Maskio. She's not here, and she could be the one sitting with those cubs. Yeah, they've spread out. They're walking really, really fast in an intention, or the way they're behaving, it's like they are looking for something. And it's going to get very interesting once they spot something. There is some old dagger boys somewhere back there. Dagger boys are old buffalo bulls, and that's what they're looking for at the moment. It's a matter of pointing one, and then they're gonna move in. Still a good weather for hunting. It's not as hot, and so it is perfect for them to go out there. Also, when they're really, really desperate and a situation prevails itself, they will utilize it. And also, when they're really hungry, they don't care about the weather. That is always what they do. They always find high points and stop, take a good look, maybe pick up their target, and then proceed on. But you know, the one thing that is so beautiful about this morning is that I have seen both Olololo and I've seen, River Pride. Tim has seen the Mogoro. So of a few, of our local prides, we have seen them. And it's such great news to see them out in these numbers. The thing here that's going to get very interesting is that the 2 males in this pride are sons of Fang and Halftail, and already these females have got cubs, so I don't know who these cubs belong to. I wasn't here for a long time, so I'm not quite sure. Could be interesting to see Olalashe move in. Maybe he is the father. We did see Split Nose also a few weeks ago, maybe a month, mating with one of the females. Yeah, so it's quite, can get very, very interesting. So they're parked there, and I don't know. If they're going to pick up their target from there. One female has broken out. There is one that's just decided to stay with us. 2 of these have decided to stay with us. So we have 5 ahead and 2 have stayed behind. So we're missing one lioness, the one with the floppy ears. But everybody else is here, apart from that lioness and the cubs. Remember, this is live. It's coming from the Masai Mara, and we are in the Mara Triangle. Well, I'm going to stay with these guys. Let's take you to another live location.
We've come back to the den, and now everyone's out. There's Heart still feeding her too. We have the two older boys and Corky's little one at the entrance of the den. Very relaxed and peaceful today. I think they have the right idea. It's definitely the type of weather to be having a nap, reading a good book. Very, very softly. I was hoping you'd be able to hear it. It's just the wind and testiculars that you can hear now. Leah, you say they're getting bigger. They really are. Watching them grow is such a pleasure. We get the opportunity to watch so many animals, their stories, from birth right until independence. Rhonda, you'd like to know at what age will they not be called cubs anymore? I'd say about a year and a half, I'd start calling them sub-adults. At a year, they still look pretty shaggy, and it's very tempting to call them a cub. So I said about a year and a half, I'll start calling them a sub-adult, and they're adults and have reached independence between 2 and 3, males slightly earlier than the females. Females will reach independence around 3, the males at about 2.5. So these ones are very much still cubs. Oh, today is the 27th of November, isn't it? So that's 8 months exactly since we've seen Ribbons 2, I think. We've seen her, mooching around the den, but we didn't see them. Pretty sure it was the 27th of March, which means that our time with them still being at the den is slowly coming to an end. So we're going to enjoy them as much as we can. They're already moving around with Ribbon. I've seen their tracks. I've heard one whooping around camp. It's very easy to tell the difference between an adult whooping and a cub. Cub whoops are very, very cute. have you heard? I also heard something in the distance. I couldn't pick out what it was. We were hearing lions roaring last night and this morning, but this morning they sounded much further away. But what I just heard didn't sound like a lion roar. It sounded a bit like an alarm call, but just one and quite far away. We're going to stick around here, of course, until the end of drive and enjoy them enjoying this nice gloomy day, being all lazy and relaxing.
From the hyenas back here in the Mara, we've left the Mara River. It was very nice watching the zebras crossing. They all went back and forth, but some of them that were left out just waiting. So we left them waiting actually. So we've come across this plain savanna. We call this the Topi Plains. There's a lion that went further into the bushes, so just want to keep an eye on to see where he's gone to. He's a big man lion, but because of the long grass we can't actually tell where he is. You can see the backdrop of the Ololo escarpment. So we have a division of two prides that roam that escarpment. We have the Ololo pride and we have the Owinos. I'm assuming that this land that we just missed out here in the long grass is from the Bila Shaka. So just waiting to see where he will walk into or maybe pop up to scan. It's easy to spot males because of the big men. Sometimes the lionesses can be concealed in the long grasses, but I'm still going to look for him, just waiting patiently. And sometimes they can even make a contact call when they roar, so I'm just keenly waiting to hear if there'll be a contact call, or maybe some topis or zebras watching over his direction.
Well, good luck to you, team. But I have the River Pride here, and they seem to have been walking quite hastily earlier on, but the mood has sort of relaxed a little bit because they are parched quite distantly, very spread out. You'll be seeing that shortly. And the buffalo I see are quite far away, but definitely it is food in their mind. That is one. And then there is some more, quite a long way. Yeah, way up there. Yeah, they do this. They'll stop on a high mound, observe the area, and then make a decision. There are 7 of them, and the meat needed is quite a lot. And so, yeah, they'll have to bring down something very big. Buffalo is what they're looking for. And I know for sure there is nothing else they're here for. It's just buffalo. Yeah, it's been very interesting observing them, actually, because I know where the territory reaches and where the Olololo territory reaches, and definitely they are not the same because they would be together.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure we'll get the Mara back, but it seems like the rain has started to roll in. And various various locations. At least that's holding up for us, for now, at least. I must say, I'm just enjoying the sights and sounds at the den. Such cuties. Every time hearts two start to squeal just a little bit, the others look up and look towards them, probably wondering when is their turn to get some milk. And everyone looks very, very healthy and are well nourished. Dear watcher, you'd like to know how long they live for? They actually have a pretty long longevity. That sounds strange. Listen. Sit back down, Hart said. So they can live up to 20 years in captivity, which is a long, long time, but the average out in the wild is more between 12 and 15 years. When you think about the ages of other predators, that's a good amount of time. And imagine we're seeing them at 8 months, 5 months, and have all that time ahead of them. So much to do, so much to see. Males will disperse. Our two female cubs here, they'll Hartswan and Corkies. They're the future of the Djuma clan. Quite like that thought. Mac Pants, you'd like to know how the den smells? Doesn't smell of anything at the moment. I mean, I'm not terribly close. I'm sure it's a little more smelly the closer you get. But it doesn't smell too bad. The only scent I pick up from them is a kind of wet dog smell. And not even too pungent to smell. Another vehicle coming to visit them now. There's a few heads picked up to have a look who's there, but otherwise everyone's pretty calm. They're so much like toddlers, and that they jump around and play so intensely, and kind of like Jack Russells, you know, when a Jack Russell goes round and round and round and round. The zoomies, they get that too. And then other times they're just like, no, I need to sleep. And then they just take it easy, my little body is just exhausted. I enjoy both instances, I must say. If you go look over at Ngwazi on the right here, looks like he's got a growth in the form of Corky's little girl. A second head. Like a Siberus hyena. That's just a myth waiting to be made. Stuck in bed, you'd like to know, oh, look at that. You'd like to know if they're one of the more flexible animals. I'm going to adjust your question there to say mammals, because if we talk about all animals, remember those are insects and arthropods and everything else as well. So let's just talk about mammals. You want to know if they're one of the most flexible types. They're actually pretty stocky. I would say from predators, it's actually difficult to say. But from our really big predators, I'd say leopards are pretty flexible. And the stockier you get, you lose that flexibility. And hyenas are not terribly flexible. Look at that cute face. Oh, it looks very, very comfortable. I wonder if they'll get up at all. I don't think so. I think they'll sit here and relax, and we'll sit with them.
Okay, that is not a branch. That is not a twig. It is moving. It is green. That is the end bit of a boomslang, or translated from Afrikaans, meaning tree snake. Boom is tree, slang is snake. And that is a boomslang that's just gone in the nesting chamber of the social weaver. How crazy is that? So these birds are actively breeding right now because of the rain that we have received on Tswalu. And these snakes now are in hot pursuit, seeking out a little morsel. Unfortunately for the little bird that potentially is inside there, or the eggs, but a very important regulating factor for these birds to keep the populations in control. And this is what I've been searching for and hoping for, is to find a snake. Myself and David spoke about it a long time ago. Finding a snake for you folks on a sociable weaver nest. And what a snake to find. Hopefully it pops out. It should. And hopefully you can get a nice glimpse of this magnificent creature. You can see the color, that nice greenish color. That's definitely a boomslang. It's unmistakable out of snakes in this area. So this is one species that would commonly visit these magnificent structures, along with another one that we have seen in a very prominent basis, which would have been the Cape Cobra. Oh my word, I can't believe got a snake in the nest. Can't believe this. Wow. So this is a very, very agile snake. It really enjoys inhabiting trees, and it is perfectly suited to move in and around this structure, using its very, very strong tummy muscles or ventral muscles to scale and maneuver itself almost like Spider-Man through this nest. And what it's been doing is more than likely sussing out, where is a little break, where is a gap, where can I get into one of these little chambers to have a potential meal. So if you think, oh, there's its head. Oh, you got it. Hey, oh my word. Oh my gosh. And this is one species that can recognize stationary prey. So if we had to have a Cape Cobra here on the ground, and it was, for example, a meter away from me, if I stand dead still, that animal would not be able to recognize me as an object, just like I'm vegetation or I'm a tree or I'm a stump. But this snake has very acute eyesight and actually can physically recognize stationary prey. So if you look at most animals, if they are confronted with a threat, they want to do the most instinctive behavior, and that is to freeze. Because predators' eyes are designed to pick up on movement. And so if you freeze, that means you can try and trick and fool the predator, but not this clever little snake. What a beautiful color, nice vibrant green color. Wow. Hello, my friend. Storybook, that is a very good comment there. It is amazing to watch a snake move around these nests is something that has fascinated me since I have been on Tswalu. I remember the very first time I saw it, I was actually with a German family, a lovely family with 2 young girls, ages I think it was 2 and 6. And they wanted their daughters to explore and understand the wonders of nature. And we were actually watching a Cape Cobra. Oh, careful little birdie. We were busy watching a Cape Cobra for about 2 hours scale and move along the structure. And it is phenomenal, the agility and the precision that these snakes move with across these mammoth structures is mind-boggling. What a beautiful snake to see. I mean, we spoke about fang structure. So this snake would have a fang that is quite far back set. Oh, Randy, is it venomous? Yes, it is. And it's got a venom type referred to as hemotoxic. And what is... Ouch, that was a thorn. And how we categorize snakes is by its dental structure. So if you take a look at this snake, its fang would be set a little bit further back on its jaw. And that obviously enables it or categorizes it having a hemotoxic venom. So basically what happens is that if I had to be bitten by the snake, in a couple of hours would basically start bleeding out. It's got anticoagulating properties inside the venom, which is very, very dangerous, but not life-threatening, so to say. It can become life-threatening if you do not seek medical attention. So always very important to be very cautious around these magnificent creatures, and respect is number one. That has to be given. And you never always want to play with the snakes, and snakes should be observed and not disturbed, because that is 98% of bites happens from when people handle snakes. Snakes just don't go out and seek and I'm going to go bite a human today. It doesn't happen. It's unfortunate when somebody steps on a snake, it reacts. It's the only way it can react, say, get off me, by biting. And then obviously if people are handling it. When it comes to handling a snake, you need to have the right or necessary skills and tools to handle these snakes correctly. So obviously a specialized pair of tongs, like long bra tongs, literally, to handle a snake, and you need to know what to do in that situation. Can you see it there nicely? Wow. So hopefully it starts scaling the nest for us. We're gonna hold position here for you guys. Ooh. And we'll see you when you come back.
Yes, these lions really decided to take a break here, and I cannot blame them. I have nothing to do. Yeah, my thinking is they thought that there was going to be something nearby here, but everything seems to be quite far, and they could be communicating using body language, because some of them seems to be looking at others. But eventually, definitely, they will go out to look for something. this kind of behavior, it is normal. Waiting, hoping for that perfect moment, or waiting and hoping something will appear within a range instead of really like traveling or walking long distances. They don't look hungry, but they need to top up whatever they ate about 2 days ago. In their territory here, there's only the large game, hippo, buffalo, giraffe, and of the three, the easy one to go for is buffalo. It is not easy because buffalo is quite dangerous and they've been known to kill lions or, give them injuries that will give them forever memories. So they have to be very, very careful when going for buffalo. Being out like this, it's not normal. So they actually gonna wait here for the right moment.
I think all you can hear is the wind at the moment. That's pretty much all I can hear. They look like they need a cuddle almost. Or a cable. That reminds me, I'll just tuck that cable back into the vehicle. Sometimes it dangles out to me. You know what happened last time? My earpiece was the victim. Luckily we had a spare. Occasionally you'll see them lift up their heads and put their nose to the wind, collecting all the smells that come rushing through. When it's windy like this, it's so difficult to get a direction of smell, which is why the herbivores or the prey species, they can get very nervous when it's windy because though they can smell a predator, they don't know where it's coming from. And I would imagine that for little things like this, it's actually quite fun. Put your nose up and you smell this or you smell that. Oh, did you hear that? They're getting a really good long feed. They've been here feeding from the time we got you early in the morning at the beginning of drive. I like how Hart puts her forelimb over the cub like that. Come on, everybody's got to huddle together to keep warm. In that little pile, you are seeing 5 hyenas. Now we have Shimbulu doing the warthog. Down on his wrists. Now he's up. It's been a quiet morning, a soft, relaxed morning. Apart from, of course, the thrill of hearing this leopard soaring all over the place and trying desperately to race after her. But it's been an excellent morning. I've enjoyed myself thoroughly, despite the weather. I like when it's nice and hot. A It's always good to feel cool too, though. Oh, yes. I think that was the extent of their flexibility that you just saw. Sitting beautifully. Look at that, all of them. 6 hyenas in a little pile. Very, very cute.
Welcome back. Bless me. Bless you. Sorry, excuse me. And this, he just pulled his tail in and he's just sitting tight at the burrow entrance. And I'm really hoping that he's going to venture from one nest chamber to another. There's a few birds that have come back and they've seen it. And they give a little alarm call just to notify other individuals that there is a deadly predator at their humble abode. Wow, that is so amazing. So you can see its very, very large eyes. That's what enables this snake to recognize stationary prey. It has great, great, great vision. And there's another snake in South Africa that is referred to as a twig or vine snake that has also got superb vision. It is that snake, and along with this one, the two species that are able to recognize that of stationary prey. This green color is more than likely an indication that it's a male. The female's like this uniform brown color. And he's just looking for a meal. I'm sure he's found a meal actually inside that chamber. Oh. Wow, look at that. Myself and David were just discussing if he would grab a bird in flight. I've never seen birds being taken on the wing via boomslangs. I've seen cobras do that. Cobras are not the fastest striking snake, but fast enough to catch a bird on the wing. Unfortunately for the bird, but great meal for the snake. This is just too cool. Yeah, we've been having some remarkable sightings on Tswalu with this rain. What's the biggest snake that I've handled? Sure. That would be a cobra at about 1.5 meters. Very scary. I mean, at 1.5 meters, a snake you don't think has a lot of power, but its muscles are very, very powerful. And handling that snake is very tricky, because if it does break from your grip, getting bitten is obviously not a great thing. And that's where obviously respect comes into vital play, to make sure that you are just a good distance away from them. But yeah, definitely has to be that of a Cape Cobra. I've been up close and personal with bigger snakes, but that's obviously in a controlled environment. That was at a reptile park where we got to hold an African rock python, which was about 2.5, 3 meters. Oh my word! You can see how quick those movements are of the head, eh? Wow. So here, the calls of chicks, you can hear their calls are obviously separated from that of the adults. They give this high-pitched sound. Oh, the guy's tongue is being flicked out. That's more than likely now it's picking up scent particles. Yo, that is so beautiful. How vibrant is that color? And then also having that uniform brown scheme behind it of that sociable weaver nest. So like we've looked at that tongue, obviously forked left and right, and that's to pick up scent particles either on the left or the right hand side of the snake. So the birds are starting to come back, and we might have some high-powered action here. But I think he's actually eaten something. That's why he's remaining static at that chamber. Well, it's been absolutely wonderful having you guys with us today. Thank you for all the questions, all the comments. Thank you for joining us, which is so humbling. And we are so lucky that we can share all of this incredible stuff with you folks. So from the rest of the colleagues across the continent, big thank you from them. Be sure to join us this afternoon for the Sunset Session Safari.